Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a truly profound, honestly, pretty scathing piece of modern writing. We're looking at the poem Little City Calls Out to Architects Not Admirers, written by Sago Stephen Kofi, who you might also know under the pen name Solids Seething. It's this striking critique of how we live, interact, and frankly, just perform in today's digital first world. And it really challenges us to reconsider our very purpose.
Looking at our agenda for today, we're going to deconstruct this poem piece by piece. We'll start with Sago Stephen Kofi's overall vision, then move through part 1 on performative culture, part 2 covering false kindness, part 3 exploring true architects, part 4's final ultimatum, and finally, ask the big question, are you a builder?
All right, jumping into section 1, Sago Stephen Kofi's vision, dated June 27th, 2026. Kofi is directly confronting a massive modern ontological crisis here. This idea of living entirely for an audience, basically performing for clicks rather than actually existing. The core of his vision sees a society absolutely obsessed with the noise of legacy and what he calls empty art. He's passionately challenging us to evaluate our own roles within the setup. Like, are we just making noise from the sidelines, or are we actively making something real?
Moving on to Section 2, Part 1, The Performative Culture, A Generation Lost.
Now, to truly honor the source material, I'm going to read this first part completely verbatim. Sago Stephen Kofi writes, "In my many, many months, through many a day, a scene so saddening, so appalling in every part, have I witnessed in a generation lost, I say, caught in the noise of legacy and life's empty art. Oh, see how they perform and perform and perform, a perverse form, they perverse form. With a knife, they slice the cord of the right light from their eyes, murder their true selves all for clicks and likes that die. They consume but never contribute, criticize but never create, watch from afar yet pay no tribute, and all the while they waste away. So full of potential for greatness and humanity, yet slaves to their own hypocrisies and sanctimony. Let all die but me made flesh, plagued by an ontological crisis performing for a crowd condemned."
Wow, right? The poet completely strips away our modern defenses here. He lays out the severe symptoms of this generation lost. They are literally murdering their true selves just for some fleeting internet validation, clicks and likes that immediately die. The crucial takeaway here is how these specific behaviors turn our immense human potential into just wasted life. We become entirely self-centered, acting out this hypocritical, let all die but me mentality. And he draws this stark contrast right out of the gate. On one side, you have the consumer. They criticize but never create, they just sit back and watch from afar, endlessly chasing those dead metrics. But on the other side is the contributor, the one who is actively creating and paying tribute. The poem insists that existing purely as a consumer is actually a really tragic form of self-destruction. That brings us to Section 3, Part 2, The False Kindness, A Thirsty Soul. Here, the focus shifts to how the narrator, framed as a grieving old soul, views our performative empathy. Again, reading verbatim, Kofi writes, "And an old soul, with sight as sharp as prophecy, looks upon this scene and grieves, if only the past were today's memory." He teaches, hoping one or two among the lost may find their way. For if these are the world's hope, the world needs no despair today. And if a man lives and all he knows is to consume and never give, that is not a man. That is a leech robed in a man's guise. And the reason our world is sick and dying is this. We have too many leeches pretending to be full of purpose and wise. To smile at a thirsty soul when you hold water in your hand is not kindness, it is devilry, the worst of its brand. For the sinister believes that giving what costs you nothing true, yet costs the needy their real need is kindness, when it's ruin through and through. If devils began to abhor themselves or saw what they had become, even hell itself could turn to paradise, and heaven be won. But no, they murder the truth and crown the lie, and yet preach the lie in the name of truth. By that act they confess, truth is good, truth is life. But what requires me to be better must die. That is incredibly powerful stuff. Kofi explicitly defines a person who only consumes as a leech robed in a man's guise. The old soul is warning us that our world is sick precisely because we have way too many of these leeches masquerading as purposeful wise people. And look at that chilling image of false kindness he uses, smiling at a thirsty soul while you hold water in your hand. Kofi straight up calls that devilry. It's intentionally withholding the real help that might actually cost you something and offering useless gestures instead. Actually, this is perhaps the most devastating insight into human nature in the entire text. People will enthusiastically preach a lie in the name of truth simply because facing the actual truth would demand that they improve themselves. They essentially confess, as he puts it, truth is good, truth is life, but what requires me to be better must die. It's just so much easier to kill the truth than to do the hard, messy work of personal growth.
Let's head into Section 4, Part 3, True Architects, Building the Foundation.
This is a major turning point in the piece, so let's read it verbatim. So the old soul sang a song so solemn and so clearly. If you see me build a home to keep souls from the coming storms, don't send my way your likes and highs and flattery. If your hands are not covered in mud, bricks, or sticks, for of what use is a fleeting like to the building of a foundation and a fountain, focused on furnishing souls on a safe mountain? Let them pass away who are not ready to contribute real value to Lethal City. Lethal City is not the ground for performers, it is the heart of true architects, and such as are real to their core and care about the good of humanity, and the furtherance of truth and life and true art's sophistry. If a thumb likes my works yet is in no way moved by my lines, that like is vain, and sooner could heaven be pleased with a devil's pride than the granddaddy with a lying lie. For the lines I write and rule are aimed to provoke the real you, all you could be out of you. They're not meant to leave you shallow, performing, consuming, and never contributing.
So here we have it, the ultimate ideal in Lethal City, the architect. The old soul issues this direct, really uncompromising command. Keep your empty flattery and your internet likes far away if you aren't willing to get your hands dirty. An architect is a true builder whose hands are literally covered in mud, bricks, or sticks. They're totally focused on building a safe foundation for others and furthering truth, rather than just chasing vanity and applause from the sidelines. And Kofi explicitly states the goal of his own art right here. He says his lines are purposefully aimed to provoke the real you. He doesn't want to leave you shallow or just performing. In fact, he points out that an empty like from an unmoved heart is as offensive as a devil's pride. True art, according to Kofi, demands that you stop consuming and start contributing. It demands a tangible, real-world response from us.
All right, moving to Section 5, Part 4, the final ultimatum, life or true bliss.
The final two lines of the poem read, "If you then came across my works and remained anything but this, sorry to say what you kiss on the lips is not life or true bliss." Sango Stephen Coffey closes his piece by holding a mirror directly up to you, the reader. He insists that if his poem doesn't physically transform you into a contributor, into an architect, well then you are entirely missing out on true life. Whatever shallow performance you think you're enjoying right now, it isn't real bliss. Which brings us to our final section. Are you a builder, mud, or consuming?
So why does this ancient feeling wisdom matter so desperately for your modern life right now? Well, after hearing the old soul's plea and Kofi's scathing breakdown of our performative culture, you kind of have to look down at your own hands and ask yourself a really hard question. Are your hands covered in mud, or are you just consuming? Are you an architect actively contributing real value to the world around you, or are you just an admirer, smiling at thirsty souls while holding water, trapped forever as a performer in Lethal City?